Nice to see you. I understand you're retiring?
You're muted, Cindy.
Unmute. Yes, December 1st. So I'm, no,
Wow. Well,
I'm
congratulations.
depressed. I get this cool museum and then I'm going to retire. So,
Well, we'll miss you, but you'll always be part of the family. You can
oh,
drop off.
thanks. Well, I plan to come down and visit once I retire. I can go and see a lot of different things.
Fantastic. All right.
At least now you can say you worked with the best.
I'm sorry, say that again.
So at least now you can say you worked with the best, you know.
That's right. The
always good
best.
to go out on top.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
All right. Is this everybody? We should have.
Cord.
Morning, Cord.
Good morning.
Cord, have you and Cindy been properly introduced at any point?
I don't believe so.
Okay, Cindy is our representative in the Attorney General's office. So she's taking the place of Deb Love, who what happened to Deb?
She's still here, but she's a chief, and we had a major player leave recently, a major attorney leave, and so she had to take over other requirements.
Gotcha. Okay.
And I wanted y'all, so
All right. Well, very nice. All right, let me get myself together here. So we're expecting other trustees.
Yes.
And it's coming.
I was in that impression.
Okay. Well, it's not even 10, so
Oh, we're early.
yeah. So we're ahead of the game.
Sherry, maybe.
Yeah, should have quorum.
Okay.
Joe, you look like former military, are you?
Yeah, sort of, kind of. I paid for college as an Army reservist. So
There you go.
yeah, I drove bulldozers and, almost burned myself on a fuse trying to learn how to do demolitions.
Oh, no.
Yeah, I picked up a burning, I can't remember what you call them anymore. It's like the trigger that lights a fuse. And, the thing is supposed to get the fuse going and then you run away,
Spark it.
but you keep, well, it's like a pull tab. And the fuse falls out, but the thing was on fire and I stuck it in my pocket, and burned right through my trousers.
Oh no.
Yeah,
You
that
sound
was,
like
probably,
an engineer.
that was part of my high point in my military service right there. So yeah. So. well,
Sounds like you were an engineer.
Pardon me?
Were you in an engineering unit?
Yeah. So we were the heavy equipment platoon. So it was pretty cool, in all seriousness, the thing that I did that I enjoyed the most was I did a lot of extra weekends because there was a community not far from our base that there's a new police athletic league building being built. And so we got to go in and improve the site there on the south side of the town. And we just moved a lot of dirt, and just played with these really big machines, for months on end. So it was a really cool project.
Well, I was the attorney for the 176 engineer group and then 276 engineer battalion. And
Okay, so yeah.
yeah, I'm retired JAG, Army Reserve, and
Yeah.
Guard, Army Reserve, both.
Yeah, I remember that. And I remember it was kind of easy for you to kind of grasp the concept of our cultural heritage monitoring lab and all of our Army and Naval reservists, that we have on staff now. So museum looks a little different nowadays than it did just a few years ago. So it's cool. We're forever evolving. So
Hey
who-
guys,
Cool.
just real quick, it's Ann Burnett.
Hi, Ann.
I am the E1AAB01. Sorry about that. It just doesn't come up with my name. And to top it all off, the camera on my computer is broken. So I am not being rude by being off camera. I just don't have one currently.
Okay, well, honestly, we're all, because of that E1AAB01, we're thinking that you are the evil robot twin of Ann Burnett, but you're welcome anyway, right? So, yeah.
No, it's the chat bot of Ann Burnett.
There you go.
Oh.
Right. So the chat bot, all right. So, Ann, I see Nathan has jumped on as well.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning. I just want to make sure, I know Cindy's relatively new to the team. Nathan and Ann I don't know if you were properly introduced to Cindy, who is our AG rep. And so she's going to be attending our committee meetings as well as the full board meeting.
Wonderful. Lovely
Nice to meet y'all.
Welcome.
Thank you.
I think we have one more, Sherry.
That's right. So Sherry's on the committee as well. I did not hear back from Sherry. So Cord,
Okay.
we want to get, any point get started. I think we're. good
Yeah,
to
it's after 10. We'll be respectful of people's time. If Sherry can join us, we'll bring her up to speed. So Cord, the agenda is all yours.
That's what I'm trying to pull up now. My computer, I've only got the one screen too, so I'm pulling it up on another computer here.
Okay.
So let's see here. It's cool. All I got to do is type Mary and it pops up with everything. So let's see here.
Probably too much.
Well, I think Ryan might have sent out the email, so you might want to try his name first.
What's that now?
I believe Ryan sent out the email with the agenda, so you might want to try his name instead.
Yes, I've got it right here.
Okay, perfect.
All right. As soon as it pulls up, we're good to go. Let's see here. All right. So I guess it's been a short minute since we've seen each other. Although I was there at the museum, what, a week ago with 35 little ones. So that was really cool. So just welcomed everybody that's here. And then so Ryan, if you'll give us a status of the budget and the upcoming priorities.
Thanks, Cord. I'm actually gonna punt it to Jonathan. Jonathan, if you can-
Okay.
Yep, all good.
Yeah, so the budget's looking really good coming out of fiscal year 23. We don't have the numbers for fiscal year 24 yet. We've only had a month of data to compile there. So just looking at the balance sheet, emissions up, everything's great. I would really like to highlight something that I can't convey my excitement about just in the board notes, but the classrooms and workshops. That is an exciting number to see, just that growth year over year. Adding Jordan to the team here and just kind of advancing that program, just outreach in general is something to get excited about. Like, we try to grow admissions right every year, and of course we try to grow revenues through sales in the store, but seeing revenues from classes and students coming in and really just the outreach we can do is really excited, and certainly a positive note moving forward into FY24. Revenues look good. Grants continue to come in hot going through fiscal year 24. Should see a similar number next year. Looking really good for the Cultural Heritage Monitoring Lab. All around, there's NSF grants, IMLS grants. I think we'll cover that probably in the advancement section. Carryover fund. Next board meeting, you'll have a budget from fiscal year 24, but carryover looks good as well. Going into expenses, everything kind of stayed steady. We didn't sign a lot of new contracts, so the inflation didn't really catch up to us over the fiscal year. This year, it'll be a tick up, but that's just general operating costs year over year. I would like to highlight something that's kind of not in the notes, but just maybe if you had questions. The contractual services is up, but the let's see, the equipment's kind of low, and then the repairs and construction are up. So what happened there is we kind of bundled the equipment purchases into those contracts. So those term contracts for the work on the building. We got lucky and were able to bundle a lot of the purchases of the equipment in those. So that's just kind of something I would like to highlight. Otherwise, everything kind of came in pretty close to on par with what we were expecting.
All right. Sounds great. Yeah, I know that with the classrooms and the workshops, Christy and everybody there is doing a fantastic job. We had, I believe with our group, we had 3 that came in and actually did guided tours with us, and the kids absolutely loved it. I was really amazed because we try to, do different things with our kids, but we always, our last trip every year is to the museum, and we think, man, here we go. And some of the kids, there's 1 or 2 that's like, we've been there like 50 times. And then, but all the other ones were like, this was amazing. And the dinosaur exhibit in the middle and stuff. So they're doing a really good job. So
Excellent. Yeah, it's a product and a service that sells itself. It's an
yeah,
excellent.
absolutely.
Yep.
See here, we got recent and pending support. Is that you, Ryan?
Yes. So yeah, thanks, Cord. I'm happy to kind of provide some big picture highlights here. And if there are any questions, obviously, please let me know. So we've got a number of grants and partnerships in process. So everything from, early research to administration of current grants, and also some really good, exciting pending grants as well. Just a few examples. We've got NSF funding for Wyoming paleo research and work, and also student professional development. Also got a current IMLS grant that's wrapping up. That's for the microscopy lab. So we've requested the remaining funding for that. So that's very exciting as well, and been a really successful implementation of that program. Smithsonian funding for CHML. So that's, like Jonathan mentioned, that's going strong. Foundation works directly with curators, educators, all different staff to help administer and provide all the reports for these grants as well. And a few more grants for programming and capital projects. So we've got a community foundation grant that we're looking to double our Museums for All support. So we've got current support from Hooker Furnishings and Carter Bank and Trust. So we are bringing that story and that, great success story to the community foundation to look at, again, doubling that support. Right now, the letter of inquiry has been submitted and approved. They had a few questions that we addressed, and they have recommended that we go to the full proposal phase. So that's very exciting.
Brian, you remember the approximate percentage of people taking advantage of Museums for All, excuse me, during the Dinosaur Festival?
Right. So we had just over 4,200 visitors and about 987, almost 1,000 took part in Museums for All. So yeah, almost a fourth.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. So great turnout. Just looking at the advancement report. So if you look at the big picture institutional revenue, and that's what we're looking at there is both museum and foundation. We exceeded last year's revenue by 8.4%. So last year was a great year for both foundation gifts, but also museum earned revenue. So we exceeded that by, again, over 8%, over 550,000 combined revenue. That's a combination of admissions, retail, all kinds of, charitable gifts. So as an institution, we're really ramping up and want to build on that as well. Visitation, so very strong. We're seeing really strong increases post-pandemic. So every year average, it's been over 150%. Obviously, we're not projecting 150% in perpetuity. That'd be great, but we are really getting back to pre-pandemic very quickly. And that's a combination of regular visitors, members, Museums for All, like Jonathan mentioned, in-person classes and workshops. So we're very excited about that, and that's one of our big focus areas. Looking at revenue specifically, so combined admissions and retail revenue was a record last year. So for fiscal year 2023, we exceeded the previous record that was set in fiscal year 2019. So that's a huge plus. It was a record by 9%. So we exceeded our goals there as well. Skipping forward to the specific areas, including the endowment. So endowment growth continues to be strong. We've got a combination of new gifts and strong growth. So just looking over the past 4 years, we've got an average growth rate per year of 12%, which is great. I would love to have 12% personally. But again, that's a combination of strong growth, strong management, and new gifts as well. Memberships are up as well. So took a slight dip during the pandemic for not too surprising reasons, but it's been very strong recovery. We've seen strong sales at festivals. So our festivals are great benefit for a variety of reasons, but also for memberships. Folks see the real benefit. We tell the story, let them know, if you have a family that shows up at a festival, literally you can a lot of times pay less for the entire year than you would just for that one visit. So I think staff do a good job of telling that story and selling memberships. Let's see. I want to go to on the advancement report on page. The page, hold on one second. Page 5, sorry. Looking specifically at fiscal year 2023 festival revenue attendance. So we had records there as well. So for fiscal year 2023, we had a record for revenue exceeding fiscal year 2019 by 33%. And visitation was a record by 21%. So across the board, great feedback, great number of festivals, different themes, obviously, different sizes, different setups, but I think we've really kind of pulled it all together and got a really good offering. And so with that, we're looking already at 2024 and 2025 festivals. So we have grants and partnerships in place for calendar year 2024 festivals already secured. So right now, as staff, we're looking at 2025 festivals, which is great. It's great for planning. It's great for long-term, funding, grants and prospects, things like that. So great story there. That's kind of the big picture as far as earned revenue, both on the foundation side and the museum side. Cord and others, I'm happy to answer any questions.
It's awesome. I like the growth. I mean, we talked about this the last couple of meetings that it was going to, obviously with the COVID and everything and pandemic and so forth, but 2019 was the year that we're looking at, not all the other ones. And we just keep exceeding everything. So that's really good. So.
Hey, Cord.
Yes, sir.
Also going to point out that we now have a kind of a side project that we're working on called Discovery Champions. And so everyone's going to receive a link, and you can therefore link to our new donor snap capacity. This is our new financial management, our donor management software, and you can make a monthly recurring donation to our endowment. And so we're going to ask for 100% participation. You do $5 a month, right? And if we get that from both boards, it will help grow that endowment. And part of the reason that that's important is it's actually kind of finishing something that was started a long time ago. Most of you aren't going to remember. Well, you weren't really on the board back in the earlier part of the century here. And as it turns out, the foundation had started a capital campaign and it stalled because of the recession from 2007, 2008. And so part of the goal was to develop at that point $1 million endowment. And honestly, it was just like abandoned ship. So when I got here, we paid off the debt. We were about $500,000 in debt, got rid of that. And that's when we started looking at the endowment again, but not from a campaign standpoint, but let's just start the steady growth for the future. So if we get this Discovery Champion project kickstarted, it'll be within 1 to 2 years that we'll finally hit that $1 million mark with donations and return. And so it's kind of a big thing, I think, psychologically for everyone who's been here a long time. And so I'm going to ask that the Board of Trustees, and we'll feed you some ideas and stuff, but we're open. We should do something special, to celebrate the foundation. It's been a long road that they've had to travel to get to this point, and it was a long-standing goal of theirs. So I think if nothing else, maybe we can get like a nice letter put together that everyone signs congratulating the foundation. Something as simple as that. I think a simple gesture would go a long way in this case. So that's just something we need to think about in the future. But all the board members will receive a link for the Discovery Champion link for our endowment.
I got the email the other day, actually, too.
Good. Okay, we're ahead of schedule.
Yep, I got it literally just a couple days ago. I was reading about that. So I think it's a great idea, and it's an easy way to build the endowment also. I think it'd be neat too if we could, I don't know, get some type of spreadsheet or form that we could give out to the board members and say, okay, so like there's 4 of us that came in 2015 and say, this is what our endowment was in 2015. This is what it is now. in 2016 to now. So everybody can see how it's growing since they've been on the board, and that might jumpstart a few people also.
That sounds like a great idea. We'll pull something together. Maybe we can make a slide to share or something in that capacity.
If y'all send the link to me, I also will join in.
Oh, awesome.
That's great.
We'll give you the extended behind the scenes tour when you come visit.
Joe, I expect that this will be something that's discussed at the full board meeting, but I'd also just note that my expectation coming into the board, and I don't think this is uncommon, is that there would be at least some minimal like sort of financial contribution. So it's good that there's some sort of like official way to set this up.
Yeah, well,
Nathan, I agree. I had the same expectation.
Yep, every board I'm on, every class for nonprofit I've taken, it's always the same. It was give, get, or get out. So it was like, okay, either give it, get it, or get gone. So, and that's kind of every board should be about that. We all should be members, should be donating something and donating some time. So I totally agree.
Thanks to Ryan, and he was supported by Zach and Mary Zell and others, Charlotte Harder and whatnot. This new donor snap program that we use to manage all of our donations and so forth. It makes life so much easier, not just for them, but for the donors as well. So this is the first time we've had that capacity for the you sign up and you get that recurring credit card donation once per month.
That's awesome. So Ryan, you kind of hit on the upcoming stuff. Is there anything specific going forward that you want to talk about?
Yeah, make sure I did cover a lot of that. So yeah, I just want to highlight, of course, long-term planning. So with festivals, with exhibits, we've got our current Dinosaur Discoveries exhibit. Our next one will open in February 2024. That's our bats exhibit. But we're already, well into the planning for that. And looking beyond that, we're already talking with Smithsonian about hosting a Smithsonian traveling exhibit in 2026. Because that's the only openings they have left are in 2026. So that's what has to happen as far as long-term planning. But it's helpful for us, again, for funding, for just overall activities planned around these exhibits. So we're living in 2026 at this point, I feel like. And of course, Museums for All, we talked about that, but that continues to be a focus, both for promoting it as an opportunity, but also looking at funding opportunities, again, through the Community Foundation and other corporate partners. The partners we have are very excited about it, and it's a great success story, I feel like.
Awesome.
Or speaking of long-term planning, we'll make sure that the board's aware of this, but we could potentially be looking at a pretty good investment in some of our operating funds next year. So we're talking about the summer of 2023. We've run 2 dinosaur festivals in a row right now, really successful. The grand total of about, between the 2 dinosaur related events, about 9,000 attendees. So, but what we did both years, if you remember, we kind of double dipped. We have that Triceratops that we bought from Shenandoah Discovery Museum. And so that now lives in the Waynesboro Public Library as sort of a toehold for us there. But 2 summers in a row, we brought them back to Martinsville, and it was well received. But I think we've been there, done that. So we're right now just in the starting stages of finding out what might be available, some kind of blockbuster mount that we can bring. We did it once before. Now, that might have been 17, maybe, Ryan, 16, when we brought that Tyrannosaurus Rex to Martinsville for a month. And so it costs a pretty penny, but I think the return on investment is well worth it. So just something to keep in mind. We'll of course keep the finance committee up to speed, and it's going to be a combination of foundation dollars, some revenues, and with some luck, we'll get some grant dollars to help offset the costs.
Just thinking about movies with dinosaurs. Any chance of getting a rat? I'm not going to say this correctly. A velociraptor?
Yeah, that would be easy. I mean, we could buy one for 10 grand, you know? So the thing is, in the movies, those velociraptors, they're like 7 feet tall, but in real life, they're only about 3 feet, right? So there's a little bit of Hollywood there. But so actually, no, the velociraptor would be less. It'd probably be closer to 5 grand. There are similar creatures like Deinonychus and stuff like that, which probably run for closer to 10. And that's a straight out purchase. But we could rent something, you know, and actually what normally happens anyway when you deal with these companies is you begin to negotiate and they usually put together a package. And they say that, you know, after you're like, I don't know, you know, $100,000, that's a lot of money. And then they turn around and tell you, well, we'll throw in this and that to sweeten the deal. You know, so we'll try to target one for sure because of the popularity of the species.
I think would be cool too for stuff like that is for the gift shop, like Rob, like you see the movies where the kids, they buy the velociraptor claw and megalodon teeth and stuff like that, the real big stuff. Our kids, for whatever reason, like to buy the rocks. I found more rocks on the bus than I did, you know, driving here. So I mean, they're into that stuff for some reason. So I would think the megalodon teeth, the claws, I mean, all that stuff that ties in with that would sell really good too.
Yeah, we killed it. You know, I mean, Robbie got a great assortment of merchandise together, everything that ran, you know, say like $5 a piece, you know, 3D printed little like these dinosaur jimmies, you know, I don't know what to call them really, but they just flew off the shelves. And then of course, some of the larger things, and you're right, rocks and minerals are a big seller. And just because of the YMCA, we made the strategic decision to have an asphalt driveway rather than a gravel driveway. The kids were gonna, you know, take all the rocks and not spend any money in the store. So
it's funny how they like those things. And I know Robbie had to have been happy because he got $435 from us in the gift shop
cool.
last week. And I only know this because I went through every kid and I was like, okay, give me our change. And they're all like, we got a penny, because they literally got it to that. Each kid was allowed to bring $20 and they got it to $19.99, and they'd get a $15 toy and then a $4 worth of rocks or something. I mean, it was amazing how close they got it to the $20. They wasn't going home with no money.
They're all set for nonprofit management.
So that's right. So
Awesome.
I guess number 5 on the thing is questions, comments, and recommendations. I'll just leave that to everybody.
I just want to pass along an anecdote, and I don't mean this to sound negative. I want it to sound positive, but I heard that the Dino Festival was maybe too busy. It sounds like a great thing as a board member. So kudos. I'm sure those of you who are working it felt that more acutely than just what I heard about it. So congrats.
Well, thanks, Nathan. I think we do get that comment every year. And this is the guys, everyone correct me if I'm wrong, but I think this is our second time that we actually did a dinosaur festival where we closed off the parking lot and set up a circus tent and put some of the activities and exhibits under the tent. Brian.
Sorry, this is actually the first dino.
First dinosaur festival?
Yeah, surprising. Yeah.
So that did help, and there were people who are veterans that have been bringing their kids to these festivals for years who specifically spoke up and said having the outdoor components was great because it gave you a chance to get away from the crush on the inside. And even with the outside part, it was still full. And so now I'm going to my broken record voice here in that this is something I brought up at last board meeting. We do need to consider not just finance committee, but strategic planning, executive committee, everybody that in the foreseeable future, I know we're you know in the 6-year capital outlay plan to build a branch, and that's huge. But we should be looking over at the horizon. Our programming and whatnot has really outgrown this building. Just as an aside, and it does relate to finance because it'll come out of our equipment budget whenever we find out what the state budget actually is. We can't handle the number of people that we get and still run water in the building, believe it or not. So we had to go through some continuation of operation programming just to make sure we could keep toilets flush. So what we're doing is the building was built fortunately with the foresight to put a second pump in. So it's not water volume, it's pressure, if I got that right. And, but because there is that slot, we can double the capacity of our water. And that's just because we've just outgrown what this building was originally intended for. And that's a good thing. So I really think the board has to look over the horizon and even just to kind of set up the conversation, because it's going to take years and it's going to be your successors that would see this to fruition. But a new wing on this building, you know, whether an architect recommends we get pushed out towards Starling Avenue or whatever. And related to that as well, I guess I'm going a little bit public with this, which is okay, is that the YMCA next door is moving. So they are getting a new building built across the way. And we have not made any overture to purchase that building. I don't think we're in the business of purchasing buildings, but that if we do it properly, we can absorb that building for our operation. You know, pending a lot of due diligence leading up to that. But you know, that's another option that we should be looking at over the horizon to expand our operation and footprint here in Martinsville.
That makes sense, and it's good to hear that you have a plan for the toilets to continue to work, of course.
Yeah, our next big event will be in the spring, and that project should be done by then.
I guess now I'm thinking longer term too. Once we have the Waynesboro facility up and running, do you envision running redundant festivals there or switching it back and forth, trying to hit different parts of the state? I guess there's a lot to figure out in the time that we have.
Yeah, you know, that's first of all, festivals are an important part of our model. The festival model works well, and it was the strategy we took to help overcome our isolation. So you give people from a distance enough to want to travel to come and see. Waynesboro is not exactly going to have that problem because of the population at the Shenandoah National Park, but these are money makers, and we have a whole preserve that is going to be our neighbor. So we think the festival model will be an important part of the operations, the annual operations of the branch campus. And as such, just like we have all hands on deck here, it would be all hands on deck up there. So everyone's job description will change, whether we run 4 or we do 2 in Waynesboro. And like you said, maybe put them on the road. Right prior to COVID, we were working with JMU to move our reptile festival, kind of do a repeat of our reptile festival up at JMU. And the reason we picked that one is because we're very reliant upon our partners that bring live animals to the museum. They can just as easily bring them to JMU. And serve a whole different population by doing so. So all of this, Nathan, is exactly where we're headed to, just what you're saying. We'll bring that model to Waynesboro, what it looks like and how we do it. Yeah, there'll be some feeling out for sure.
Yeah, that sounds right. Thanks, Joe.
Thank you.
All right, well, I guess if nobody has anything else, the finance meeting is adjourned.
I appreciate everyone taking the time to do this, and I know we got a lot more to do over the next 2 days. And Cindy, we have research and collections being joined for cross-pollination with strategic planning tomorrow at 2 o'clock. And education today. All right.
Great. Well, I'll see y'all today, later on for education, and I will be at all of the meetings tomorrow and of course Saturday.
Sounds
Thank you
good.
so much.
All right.
Thank
a
y'all
great
so
day.
much.
See
Thanks,
you
Court.
Saturday.
Everyone.
Take care, guys.